All right, ladies, so let's chat. All right. Let me start by addressing the quiet fear that many women today seem to have, which is if I'm honest about what it is I need, I'll be alone. There are a lot of women who they know what they actually want when it comes to a man in a relationship. It's like somewhere deep inside they are a little bit clear on what it is that they deserve, what their must haves are, what their non negotiables are, or at least what they want those things to be. But there is this fear that if they actually speak up and desire those things, that they are going to end up being alone, that they are going to be rejected, that a man or men are going to say that they are asking for too much, that they are being unreasonable. Good luck, you ain't never going to find a man like that. Listen, a lot of us have heard it all, especially for those who are abstinent. Just because we have children, there are a lot of men who can look at you crazy and reject you when you find out, or when they find out that no, sex before marriage is not happening, because it's like, okay, you've done it before, what's the difference now? So even though that is a fear that many women have, I understand that. Let me also name the lie directly, okay? Standards do not scare men. What standards actually do, they expose the misalignment. They are not going to scare off somebody who is actually meant for you. They are going to get rid of the ones that need to be getting rid of. They are going to get rid of the ones who are not for you. And until you can actually get to a place where you have the self-worth and the self-confidence that is necessary for you to proceed and succeed in today's dating world, then that's just something that you are just not going to quite understand. You will find yourself oftentimes settling, silencing your needs, doing whatever just to placate a man because you see the potential of what it could be. But let me tell you, first of all, that is a form of self-neglect. That is nothing but another way that you are betraying yourself when you actually reject and neglect what it is that you want and need from a man in hopes of not losing one. So this MIT training video, okay, this is going to be a little bit of a mindset shift. This is not about another dating tip or, how to get a man and how to date, whatever. I want to help you when it comes to shifting and changing your mind. Because at the end of the day, clarity repels whatever cannot sustain it. All right. So there's wanting love, and then there's also realizing, like, hey, at this point in my life, I require suitability. Those are two different things. A lot of the women that I come across today, a lot of the women that I encounter, the ones that hop in the DMs, the ones that come to me for coaching, only thing they know, they want love. And wanting love equals an emotional desire. But when you actually elevate, when you start getting into that season of alignment, that I am hell bent on making sure that you actually get to that place, then that is when you get to a place of saying, hey, at this point, I require suitability. I am not going to settle for chemistry. I am not going to settle for what gives me butterflies. If it is not something that is suitable and complementary to me and my purpose and my vision and my goals and the woman that God has called me to be, then I am going to reject it. Because requiring suitability equals discernment and wisdom. There are too many women today who are dating from a place of hope and not alignment. And that can be a dangerous thing. You're putting your faith and your trust in the hopes that something will work out, in the hopes that a man might eventually change and start meeting your needs, in the hopes that he's going to change or whatever the case might be. Suitability is going to lead you to asking better questions. Suitability is going to have you asking, hey, is this safe? Do I feel peace within this connection? Mentally, let me check in with myself. How am I doing being connected and attached to this man and the idea of what it is we could become? Is this consistent? Is this something that is actually aligned with my values in this season? That phone is all the way over there. I'm not even going to get it. So, you do not raise your standards in order to get more attention, all right? You raise them in order to ensure that you are going to get clearer outcomes. And I understand that a lot of times, especially if you have not had standards before, that I get how standards can feel a little bit scary, but they aren't, all right? Standards only feel scary when you're afraid of rejection. Standards only feel scary when you're attached to potential. Standards only feel scary when you don't trust yourself to walk away from something that you feel like you've already been building or establishing with a man. And the thing is, when it comes to lowering those standards, a lot of times what you have to realize is that lowering standards stems from past abandonment. When you have been abandoned by a parent or a caregiver, when you've gone through that traumatization before, then it makes sense as to why you have a fear of lowering those standards. Or if you have a fear of having to start over in general, that fear is going to be present. If you have been conditioned to be flexible when it comes to what it is that you want from a man, from a relationship, from a partner, then the idea of doing anything when it comes to standards, it's going to put you in a different place of mind. And truth be told, fear isn't proof that your standards are wrong. Fear is proof that you're unlearning the survival patterns that have been engraved in you, which is why I said this is going to be a mindset shift. You want to ensure that you shift your thoughts and your way of thinking so that dating will actually go better for you, so that you can actually start focusing on alignment and being outside of that place of misalignment that you have been far too long. And if you're honest, if you were to reflect on how dating has gone for you, maybe in the past, maybe even how it's currently going, misalignment actually shows up very early. A lot of times when you're in that place of knowing that you want love, when you are lonely, if you're just, sick and tired of being single and just how dating is going today, then sometimes it'll cause you to overlook a lot of the things that are right there in front of you. But there are definitely some early signs of misalignment. When a man is inconsistent with the things that he says, with the things that he does, with his communication, inconsistent. When he is unclear about what his intentions are and what it is that he's actually wanting or is ready for in this season of his life, that is misalignment. If you realize from conversations that y'all's values are actually mismatched, then that is a sign of misalignment. If this man is emotionally unavailable in any way, or if just from having conversations with him, you actually realize that you all are emotionally incompatible, that is a sign of misalignment. And I do know that chemistry, loneliness, and the desire to be chosen, those are things that will lead women to actually overriding those signs that are already present. Because again, it's like, okay, but the chemistry was so great. Listen, I've spoken before. I stayed in a relationship off and on for 10 years and produced 2 children because the chemistry was great. And I'm not just talking like sexual or physical chemistry. We had a very strong connection. I love the way that he made me feel, the way that he treated me, like all of these things. But we ain't had no business being together. Then there was the fear of, okay, but if I start over, like who's going to want me when I have 2 kids? Okay, but I don't want to be lonely. How long am I going to end up being single? It was all of these things that was going through my mind, and it was all fear that was talking, even though the signs were there that I was in a misaligned relationship. And I know that there can be a lot of the internal overthinking that some of you possess. Oh, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I am being too picky. Oh, let me just give it more time. Misalignment doesn't require discernment. It requires honesty. And until you get to a place where you can start being honest about what the situation or the relationship really is, nothing is going to change. And I want to ensure that things do change for you so that you can start dating and choosing from a healthy and whole place so that you can do so wisely. There are so many good women today, that are still choosing poorly. And it really bothers me. Listen, I want to help everybody. I'm just like, I wish everybody would sign up or enroll or even watch the videos or listen to the podcast, because there are so many women, and I just want to scream sometimes when I realize the situations that they actually have themselves in, either currently or repeatedly. But I get it. There are reasons why a lot of times we do end up choosing poorly, whether it's being kind, faithful, or accomplished. Whatever, it does not mean that you are actually relationally ready for anything. And so many women are operating from this place of, okay, I got myself together. I've actually accomplished my goals. I'm a good woman. I got my relationship with God. I've accomplished a lot. I've achieved a lot. I am ready for a good relationship. No. That way of thinking is what leads to choosing poorly. Relational readiness, it is a real thing. It is a real thing. It is a concept that you have to buy into and subscribe to, because otherwise you'll keep telling yourself that you're ready when it's really just your longing and your desire and your loneliness. This is why I'm so big on teaching and talking about discernment. Discernment it is a learned skill, okay? It's not just intuition alone. Because what I will tell you, especially if you are someone who has been traumatized in the past, if you've been hurt in the past, if you were not raised properly, if you were not loved properly, then right now the way that you are already wired means that your intuition is off. This is why I say intuition alone is not going to help anything. Discernment is a skill that you learned. And without taking the time to actually deal with your past and heal and get to a better place, anxiety is always going to feel like excitement. Chemistry is always going to feel like that thing that you should be chasing. Familiarity is always going to feel safe. A lot of you do not lack standards, you just lack the support that is necessary to actually enforce those things. And if you do not get to that place of aligning your standards, trust me, there is a cost that is associated with that. There are actually several costs that are associated with not aligning your standards. It is going to cost you emotional exhaustion. It is going to cost you delayed fulfillment. It is going to cost you repeated cycles. It is going to cost you self-doubt creeping in. There is going to be faith confusion where it's kind of like, okay, is this God or is this me? Like you'll even find yourself going back and forth in your prayers and conversations with God. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. And I want you to pause this. I want you to, right now, reflect silently on how many times you've recognized misalignment after emotional attachment. How many times did you recognize that you and a guy had no business being together, that he was more than likely not the one for you, but it took place after you had already gotten emotionally attached to him? Be honest. I can tell you that happened with myself a couple of times. Way too many, like more than I even care to admit, if I can be completely honest. There have been several times and I could feel it. I knew. And like those were the times that I should have actually like listened to my intuition. But of course I was always trying to spiritualize and bring God in. And it was like all of these other different things, all the things that they ended up costing me something, all because I stayed. But even though I could kind of tell like something is off, like I really think I do deserve better. Like I don't really think this is the person. Maybe I am settling right now. But I would stay because I had already gotten emotionally attached. None of those relationships actually had me experiencing alignment. Now make no mistakes, alignment is not perfection, okay? Alignment is congruence between values, behavior, readiness, direction. Alignment is going to bring peace, clarity, emotional steadiness. Attraction is not going to just disappear, right? But confusion will. There's nothing wrong with the attraction part. It's like, it's okay if that stays, but the confusion, that's what we do not want existing. as you go forth this year, whether you say, hey, I'm going to start online dating, or I'm going to start going out more, I'm actually just going to start dating in general, whatever, you need to make sure that your standards are in place. And I don't want you having any fears that your standards are going to scare men off. Standards do not scare men off. Misalignment does. Misalignment is what scares a lot of men off. That's a whole nother message in and of itself. The men who are actually qualified, healed, whole, secure, ready, godly, a lot of times when you can't figure out, okay, like why communication with a guy fell off, why you were ghosted, why his energy seemed to shift or change a little bit, it's so easy to put everything on the man. And a lot of women don't even realize, like, no, that man realized that there was a misalignment taking place, and he decided he was going to remove himself. And I don't want to make excuses for any kind of man, right? And for the actions and things like that. But yeah, there are some men where it's like for them, they don't like the idea of hurting someone's feelings, or just putting whatever out there, saying something that a woman might take the wrong way. Sometimes they don't want the conflict or the battle, going back and forth. So for a lot of men, when they're no longer feeling it, they do the slow fade. There's also this thing now that some people are doing. It's called silently breaking up. Like how years ago, like the whole thing was like silently quitting, when you can tell you're checked out of a job, so you might just kind of abandon your responsibilities. You no longer care. It's kind of like, not only do I not care if I get fired, I kind of hope that I do. There are some people who are doing what's silently quitting or silently breaking up when it comes to their relationships, thinking, hey, maybe if I stop doing the things I used to do, maybe if I stop communicating, maybe if I actually start withholding affection, then she'll realize that I no longer want this relationship. That she'll be the one who will break up with me, and I don't have to be the bad guy. There are some guys who care about feelings. Now, that does not mean that that is the proper way to handle it, but I say all this to say there are some men, when even if you can't tell that it's misaligned, they can tell. And let me tell you something. I have a lot of conversations with men, especially now with being a certified matchmaker, and I'm, talking to men and screening and bringing them into the roster and the database and things like that. It's interesting to me speaking to so many different men who will actually tell you, like, they can tell when a woman is still a little bit broken. Now, a lot of them do use the word damaged. I don't like that word because I always say damaged is something that gets discarded, that's just beyond even being restored. But a lot of men, their thing is like, yeah, I can tell when a woman is damaged. Like, I can tell when she needs to heal. I can tell when she does not need to be dating. I can tell when a woman is insecure. I can tell when she has low self-esteem. So when they sense those things, that scares them off. But a woman who is actually healed, whole, ready, godly, secure, that does not scare men off. It might get rid of the ones who are not for you. And again, we want them to go away, okay? There's a reason why a lot of this work cannot be done alone. I will tell you that self-awareness without structure, it leads to overthinking. A lot of things also are going to lead to you just repeating the same patterns over and over and over again. Having knowledge is great, but having knowledge without accountability, it leads to patterns being repeated. Having a vision is cool. Having an idea of what it is that you want in a relationship or man, that's awesome. But having a vision without strategy, it leads to frustration. It's going to leave you feeling stuck in this place of, okay, I finally know what it is I want, but it's like nothing's actually happening in my dating life. My love life is non-existent. It's going to have you frustrated. And this is where many women stall. Listen, and it's not about trying harder. It's just simply about being guided. So I am here to help you. I am here to guide you if you are willing to raise your hand and acknowledge that you need help in this season, so that 2026 can in fact be your year of alignment. I do have a few spaces open right now with my private coaching program. Breakout might be the place for you to be. If you are saying that you are tired of the cycles, if you know that you need healing and strategy, if you know that accountability is the missing piece, if you want to learn how to detach cleanly and say, hey, I am ready to detach from everything that has been holding me back. Some women come into the program even acknowledging that they're struggling with detaching from a particular man or relationship. If you're actually ready to date from alignment and not emotion, then breakout is something that you need to consider. Inside, we're going to heal the root patterns. We are going to clarify those standards. We are going to craft and create your relationship vision. You are going to learn what alignment looks like in real dating scenarios. Anyone who's been in breakout before can tell you this is not dating advice in this program. That's not what we're doing. It's real work. It's inner work. It's work that can sometimes bring up some things that might have you sad, angry, or frustrated, but we get to work through all of that together. It's transformation at the end of the day. So if you want different outcomes, then you need different support. But let me remind you of something before I go. I know I say it a lot. You're not unlucky. You're not broken. You're not asking for too much. You're just simply ready for better. What would change if you stopped hoping that someone would align and you actually started requiring it? All right, so if this spoke to you, then let private coaching be your next step. Coach V is here to help you win. This can be your year, but of course, the choice is yours.